Volga-Don Shipping Canal, a specimen of 20th century engineering, a cultural and architectural monument, and a unique hydraulic structure. The Volga-Don has connected 5 seas and enabled the whole European part of Russia to be navigated freely from the northern regions to the south of the country. The canal has become a real embodiment of the centuries-old dream of nations to join the 2 great Russian rivers. As early as ancient times, it is known that people took note of the convergence of the lower reaches of the Volga and Don rivers. Vessels were portaged from one river to the other across dry land. For this reason, this place is called Perevalorka, meaning portage. The first unsuccessful attempt at building the Volga-Don Canal is reckoned to the mid-16th century by historians, and attributed to Turkish Sultan Selim II, who sent 22,000 soldiers up the Don to dig a canal between the 2 rivers. However, in a matter of a month, the Turks retreated with strong language, protesting, in the words of chroniclers, that even the whole Turkish nation couldn't do anything here within 100 years. The first serious attempts at creating the Volga-Don Canal are attributed to Peter I in 1696. However, the outbreak of war with Sweden hampered the Tsar's plans. A plan map of the canal was discovered much later in Holland, specifying the work that had been carried out and that which lay in store. In 1823, engineer Kraft proposed digging a horizontal canal tunnel and developed 4 design options at portage sites. Much debate was aroused among hydraulic engineers in 1866 by a project of Frenchman Léon Dru, which contained an innovative idea, that of feeding water to a canal using pumps, and was to come in use many years later. In 1911, the prominent scholar and hydraulic engineer, Professor Nestor Platonovich Puzyrevsky, proposed a new, well-founded and most complete design. Under a plan of the State Commission for Electrification of Russia, the government of the young Soviet Republic returned to the problem of building the canal in 1920. Lenin considered the building of this object to be one of the most important strategic objectives for the economy. But the dream of nations was fated to be realized no sooner than the mid-20th century. In the spring of 1943, immediately after the Battle of Stalingrad, a party of geologists and hydraulic engineers came with the first builders to the ravaged city of Stalingrad. Work on the canal route was headed by Sergei Yakovlevich Zhuk, an experienced builder and hydraulic engineer, under whose direction the White Sea-Baltic Sea Canal and Moscow-Volga Canal were designed and built. In 1948, the grand construction commenced. 2,000 companies carried out orders for the construction. 100 kilometers of railroad, 8 stations, and a locomotive depot were built. Upwards of 10 million tons of freight were delivered from the start of construction. Rolling stock comprising 60 railcars arrived at the construction site every 8 minutes. 150 million cubic meters of earth were excavated, and 3 million cubic meters of concrete were laid. 8,000 vehicles and items of machinery were used: walking and bucket chain excavators, excavating machinery, powerful scrapers, bulldozers, and dumper trucks. 96 complex hydraulic structures were built, including 13 shiplocks, 3 pump stations, 20 dikes and dams, and 2 bulkhead gates. Comprising 26 nationalities, more than 700,000 wage laborers, 236,000 convicted prisoners, and 100,000 prisoners of war were employed in the building of the Volga-Don Shipping Canal. Construction took place in bare steppes, where there was nowhere to take refuge from the sun in summer or from the cold and snow in winter. yet the workers labored doggedly and arduously. There were even legends concerning the heroic feats of builders. On the 31st of May 1952, at 1:55 p.m, the two great rivers, the Volga and Don, were joined in a historical moment. The Volga-Don Shipping Canal was inaugurated on the 27th of July 1952. The Volga-Don was built in record quick time, within 3.5 years. Worldwide, there had been no precedent for such high-speed construction of a hydraulic structure on that magnitude. The Suez Canal is known to have been built over 22 years and the Panama Canal over 35 years. Owing to the Volga-Don Shipping Canal, Moscow has become a port of 5 seas: the Baltic Sea, White Sea, Caspian Sea, Sea of Azov, and Black Sea. The creation of this unique system of hydraulic structures has entered history as one of the grandest constructions of the 20th century. The Volga-Don Shipping Canal stretches over 101 kilometers. A 56-kilometer stretch of the canal runs in an artificial bed and 45 kilometers through reservoirs. The canal is divided into 3 sections according to the type and relief of the terrain: the Volga Slope, the Watershed, and the Don Slope. The Volga Slope rises 88 meters to the watershed and is overcome by 9 logs. Then, by cutting through a deep channel of the watershed, the canal joins the Varvarovskaya Reservoir. There is a 44-meter descent to the Don, to the Berezslavskaya and Karpovskaya reservoirs, and 4 logs. Natural hydrological conditions in the Volga-Don watershed are such that the natural local flow doesn't even cover the loss of water to evaporation from the canal reaches. Therefore, the canal is fed with water from the Tsemlyanskaya reservoir by the use of 3 cascade pump stations on the Don slope: Karpovskaya, Marinovskaya, and Varvarovskaya. The first pump station raises water by 11 meters from the Tsemlyanskaya reservoir to the Karpovskaya reservoir, and the second by 22 meters from the Karpovskaya reservoir to the Berezslavskaya reservoir. The third pump station raises water by 11 meters from the Berezslavskaya reservoir to the Varvarovskaya reservoir. Each of the pump stations has a capacity of 45 cubic meters per second, and together they pump more than 1 billion cubic meters per year of water. The Tsemlyansky hydro system was built at the same time as the Volga-Don Shipping Canal. The system of hydraulic structures comprises an embankment dam and a concrete dam, 2 shipping locks, locks 14 and 15, water intake facilities, and a hydroelectric power plant. The hydro system has solved a number of challenges, its chief one being the creation of a deep water main waterway on the lower Don. In the 70s, with the appearance of river vessels enjoying 5-ton carrying capacities, ensuring navigation depths on the lower Don from Volgodonsk to Rostov-on-Don became a burning issue. To this end, the Nikolaevsky hydro system was built in 1974 and the Konstantinovsky hydro system in 1982. The Volga-Don Shipping Canal is not only a hydraulic structure joining 2 rivers, it is a unique architectural system produced as a unified grand-scale ensemble. At the heart of the architectural concept is an idea encompassing the great historical feats of the Soviet nation in the Civil War and Second World War, as well as peaceful, selfless labor. Locks 1, 13 and 14 are the Volga and Don canal gates, built in the form of a triumphal arch. Remarkable is how the triumphal arch, always having been a purely decorative structure, has found a utilitarian purpose for the first time in world history. that in accommodating the lock's control mechanisms. The architectural system of the Volga-Don Canal comprises about 100 structures produced in monumental forms in the style of Russian classicism. A comparatively small number of architectural forms have been used in the structures, but owing to the decorative sculptural elements, monuments and bas-reliefs, which are dedicated to the industrious and military feats of the Soviet people, each structure has its own unique character. The Volga-Don Shipping Canal has become a symbol of the 20th century. It has imbued the heroic military and industrious feats of thousands of people, great engineering ideas, and the selfless labor of builders and operators. The waterways of the Volga-Don Basin are currently some of the most overstretched shipping waterways. Up to 40 vessels pass through the Volga-Don locks every day. Whether or not that should be considered little or a lot, it already by and large exceeds the design capacity. This traffic creates certain difficulties when operating hydraulic structures. In designing the canal in the mid-20th century, it would have been hard to foresee that an annual carrying capacity at 10.5 million tons of cargo would be insufficient in the 21st century, and that 80% of vessels would have a load carrying capacity of 5,000 tons and not 3,000 as the design assumed. The dimensions of lock chambers at 145 meters in length and 18 meters in width were not designed to let large capacity vessels pass through them. In order for such giants to negotiate the hydraulic structures of the canal, particular skill is required. Here, it is a matter of being accurate to a degree of literally several centimeters. Naturally, such enormous vessels exert additional load on all of the canal structures and mechanisms. Comparing the Volga-Don with a busy highway will give you a remarkably similar picture. During the busiest shipping seasons, you will see vessels moored in queues, waiting to lock through in succession. However, the main problem of the Volga-Don waterway to date is that it only has one navigable channel. It is difficult to ensure shipping safety and stability in a single-lane lock system. In the event of a standstill due to technical or emergency reasons, shipping may come to a complete halt in both directions along a whole stretch of waterway. Therefore, the Russian government is currently considering the possibility of building a second Volga-Don channel. Building a second channel to the canal along the whole existing stretch is impossible due to various reasons, not least due to the dense built-up area within the precincts of the city Volgograd. The Hydro Project Institute has already developed pre-project solutions which take into account these problems. Building of the second channel to the canal, with 4 locks, has been proposed 37 kilometers downstream from the existing canal on the Volga, bypassing the area occupied by locks 1 to 9. Plans have been made to connect the bypass canal with the existing one in the summit reach, Varvarovskaya Reservoir. At locks 10 to 15, as well as Nikolaevsky and Konstantinovsky hydro systems, it has been proposed building the locks parallel with the existing ones, enlarging all the locks of the second channel and broadening the shipping canals from 30 to 60 meters for locks 10 to 15. A water supply channel is to be built parallel to the bypass canal from the Volga to Varvarovskaya Reservoir. This water supply channel will feature 4 pump stations, each with a capacity of 225 cubic meters per second. Furthermore, plans have been made to straighten the shipping canal route of the Volga-Don waterway in the shallow part of the Zemlyanskaya Reservoir and build a new double-channel Bogaevsky hydro system to solve the issue of the basin's low water levels. The shipping route of the Volga-Don waterway has been cut by 6 kilometers, owing to the straightening of the navigable channel. Building of a second channel will help increase the total carrying capacity of the canal by more than threefold to 35.5 million tons during an average shipping season of 227 days, provided there is uniform freight flow in both directions. Re-engineering of the Volga-Don will help reduce traffic on automobile highways in the south of Russia, which will have a beneficial effect on ecological conditions. Volga-Don 2 is a unique investment project and called to be one of the growing points of the Russian economy. The Volga-Don Shipping Canal History Museum preserves unique documents and exhibits, which have carried the memory of the legendary construction, the builders and its first operators right up to the present. The museum tells the story of the origins to the idea of connecting the Volga and Don rivers. A substantial part of the exposition is dedicated to the present day and the prospects of the grand hydraulic structure. The museum is actively engaged in public awareness. Besides excursions for Volgograd's residents and visitors, it also carries out events for employees, veterans of the canal, students and school children. This is aimed at getting more people to know, remember and take pride in the fact that Russia enjoys such a unique hydraulic structure as the Volga-Don Shipping Canal. Several generations of Volga-Don Canal operators have been carrying out their work duty for 7 decades with great responsibility and pride, ensuring shipping along the Volga-Don waterway in the interest of Russia's economic prosperity.